Now I want to take you back to the beginning of this remarkable brand story. When did Nearest Green's life intersect with yours? Tell us that story.
I was in Singapore and my husband and I were there for just a couple of days. And it was on the cover of the New York Times International Edition. Jack Daniels embraces a hidden ingredient, help from a slave. And there was a photo, and it was a group of white guys. One was Jack Daniel, obviously, and to his immediate right was a black man. So everyone is trying to figure out with the headline and this photo, who's the black man? Who's the black man? And what the people in Lynchburg were saying was the story that's been told about who taught Jack and who was his mentor is not true. It wasn't a white preacher and distiller. It was an enslaved man on his property. So they were guessing that the photo was of Nearest Green's son, which it is true. That is what it turned out to be, is that was George Green. But the internet decided very quickly, and we see this now, David, so much. The internet decided on its own with no research, no facts whatsoever, that Jack Daniel was a slave owner. He stole the recipe. He hid the slave. I looked at the photo and I thought this photo is taken somewhere at the end of the 18th century, 19th century, top of the 20th century. If you didn't want to give a black man credit, you don't put him in the photo. And you certainly don't put him to your right. And so I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the photo and very quickly come to the determination that social media is wrong, the press is wrong, that Jack Daniel was in fact trying to tell us something with that photo. And I believe that he was trying to make sure that America would not be able to wipe out whoever this person was to his right. So I ordered, while the whole internet had made a determination of what it was, and it was all over. It ended up being one of the top 10 read stories of New York Times for the year. It spread like wildfire. And I ordered Jack Daniel's Legacy, written in 1965, 1966, and published in 1967, height of the civil rights era. So think about this. This is Lynchburg, Tennessee. You have a white reporter from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, that comes to Lynchburg to tell the authoritative biography of the most famous whiskey maker of all time. And he includes Nearest Green and his boys more times than Jack's own family.
Wow.
And then I got the original photo. So the photo in the New York Times was cropped. I then got the original photo, and Jack Daniel didn't just have the African-American man seated to his right, George Green. He actually ceded the entire center position of the photo to Nearest Green's son, George. And in addition to that, if you look at the photo closely, everyone else is seated. Jack never grew to be more than 5'2". He is standing. But what George Green and his nephew Lim in front of him, what they're covering on his behalf is the fact that he has no right leg. His leg has been amputated, so he's actually leaning on a cane, and they're covering that infirmity. The amount of trust you must have in the man you put to the right of you to do that is enormous. That's the story I wanted to know about.
So tell us about Nearest Green. So he isn't in the picture. Who is Nearest Green?
Nearest Green is the first known African-American master distiller. He is now who we know to be Jack Daniel's teacher, his mentor, and Jack Daniel Distillery Number 7 did in fact exist. It is where old Number 7 comes from. And Distillery Number 7 was where Nearest Green was the master distiller. He's the only known master distiller for Distillery Number 7. And he made the whiskey for Jack Daniel.
So tell me about this first trip to Lynchburg, Tennessee, where Jack Daniels was really started. I mean, that's Lynchburg, Tennessee. I mean,
It doesn't sound great, but I tell you what, it is 15 minutes to the left of me so Jack Daniel's Distillery is literally 15 minutes to the left of my home. Nearest Green Distillery is 15 minutes to the right. I am smack dab in the middle. And there is no place I feel safer in the world than between Lynchburg, Tennessee and Shelbyville, Tennessee. But coming down here, there was, I think this kind of goes back to if I can't take me out, nobody can take me out, is I came down here with a pretty bold manner. I wasn't hiding what I was doing. There was nothing secretive about it. I was very open. I'm here to research the story of Nearest Green and his intersection with Jack Daniel and the beginning of Jack Daniel Distillery. And what was great is because I told everyone from the beginning, I believe that social media has this wrong. I believe the press has it wrong. I do not believe that Jack was who they say he is. I believe this is a story of love, honor, and respect. I believe Jack was a good guy. I believe that he did not steal the recipe and hide the enslaved man. In fact, he treated the enslaved man with respect and made sure that he left enough breadcrumbs that America would not be able to write out his story. And so I shared that with everyone that I talked to. I actually walked into one of the very first things I did was walk into the Jack Daniel's store on the square and buy up every t-shirt, because I decided I was going to wear a Jack Daniel's t-shirt every single day so that people understood I'm not here to harm the legacy of Jack Daniel.